to be living on welfare in a trailer near Willow Run. I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I love being in my neighbor's house. It's great.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, I wanted to go live there. There's no Andy to introduce us, and looks like Susan's frozen anyway. So I guess I'm just going to go live, and it's a cold open. And if it reduces our viewership from 4 to 3, so be it. So
we'll take that chance.
We've consistently had 4 viewers now for about 5 or 6 weeks. So anyway, we are live. Who else is here? Oh, Sam Greenfield's here. Thank God.
Thank God.
And I think we just lost Susan.
Oh dear. Not like a kid at the mall, right? I mean, it's something different. Sam!
There he is. I bet he doesn't have his iPad. Oh, Ned, you should have seen it last week. Last week, Sam's daughter walks into the room, and we tell her over the phone that if he used the iPad that Jason sent him, and so she takes it in about 3 seconds. She gets the thing working. It was hilarious.
Nice.
I'm right here.
Hey, Sam.
Andy.
Hey, sorry I'm late, guys.
Lying bastard.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
That's telling them.
Well, AF to you.
Ooh,
That's right. Well, oh, my God. Hey, listen. Pete Best was fired just before the Beatles started recording a lot, okay? Keep that in mind there, pal.
Oh, really? Okay.
And look what happened to them.
Yeah, whatever happened to them?
The Beatles?
No, Pete Best.
I know what happened to him. He recorded an album called Best of the Beatles.
I was just going to say that. He put that out, and the word Pete was in tiny microscopic.
Tiny. And then he went on to become, I believe, a baker.
He passed away. He passed away recently, didn't he?
From embarrassment.
I think so. And but Paul McCartney gave him a share from the Beatles anthology.
Yes, he did get some.
That was very generous.
That was generous.
Being pretty comfortable.
Yeah, you could live pretty comfortably off that. That's for sure.
That was 7 figures.
All right. Well, if I can get Susan on here, she was a second ago. I'm going to have her read her poem. It's a good one this week. A lot of stuff happening. In fact, she's even got. Does she have the stuff about? Yeah, the Wagner fighters revolting in Russia. She's even got a line.
They weren't revolting. They were just a little tacky.
What's that?
It depends on how. Well, it depends on how much dick you suck. I mean, if you're straight, it's Wagner.
Why is that the line that always comes through? Everything's garbled, and then all of a sudden, Jason comes through. Hey, Andy.
Hi.
Hey,
we're already live, but thanks for making the effort. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got tied up in the list.
Remember the good old days when we would get here 15 minutes early for mic and camera checks?
Oh, those, yeah.
Remember the good old days?
Yeah. I put it
as well, now I had a task. I was trying to get the teenage slang stuff. So sorry about that.
Wow.
Are we doing the quiz tonight?
Yeah. I've got a whole list here. It looks great.
What quiz?
Well, we talked about it last week. We have we decided we might do segments for everybody.
Oh, okay.
We had Andy's quiz, Jason's rant, and Sam's. Let me tell you about a famous person I know.
Yes.
Drop that.
We got to have a 10-minute segment on the Bushes and all those guys for at least 10 minutes, and then we can start anything else. So.
I think my segment should be called "Not Sam."
Not Sam. Okay.
There you go.
That's
I like that. And my segment is going to be the new techie thing I learned this week.
Oh, did you say new or nude?
Nude.
Well, we'll let the audience vote on that.
Are we allowed?
I'll have two prepared. I'll have a new and I'll have a nude, and we'll let the audience decide.
Can I
Mark, you guys actually argue in the nude? Is you and your wife actually argue in the nude, as she said?
That's her joke.
I never have.
By the way, my contribution to that joke was the Edmund Fitzgerald. That was my contribution. I thought that was hilarious.
Then you
Hey,
don't
can I
want to
call
hear
my segment "Rap Isn't Really Music"?
Say that again, please.
Yes, and then what? And then just keep calling it "Rap Isn't Really Music," but every week it's something that has labeled itself falsely. You know.
Yeah. Why is partner a verb now?
Everything is a verb now. We've turned everything into a verb.
Let me give you a medical update. I was lifting weights last week. You know, I work out every week. And this past Monday, not today, but a week ago, my back started really hurting. And I got scared because the pain I had in my back was the exact location where I had when the cancer was diagnosed. The exact location. The difference was the pain was much, much less. When I had that pain, getting out of bed to go to the bathroom, I was screaming it was terrible. So I said to my wife, please stop stabbing me. But it causes but it really hurts. So I called my doctor and he said, well, you just had a blood test a month ago and it was fine. I go, well, is that enough time? And he's been very kind to me. He came so close to going, oh, that's right. You're the doctor. I should listen to you. He came so close. He goes, it's enough time. It's fine. You're fine. He said, what you have to do, and from the other room, when he said what you have to do, from the other room, Barbara goes, here's a news flash, Sam. Look around the gym. Is there anyone there within 30 years of your age? Anyone? No? What does that tell you, Sam? You're old. You shouldn't lift weights. You should do a treadmill and then very, very, very light. But the reason you're scared to is because if you do 5-pound weights, you think these other people are going to look at you and go, what a pussy. Let them do that. You've got girls down there bench pressing 180. Okay? You couldn't bench press 180 when you were 18.
They're bench pressing a Sam and a half.
They really are. So here's the other funny thing. So because my back hurt, I've been looking, I don't know why I do this, but I've been looking for jobs as a waiter, and half the jobs go, must be able to lift 60 pounds. I go, okay, bye-bye.
All at once, or
Okay.
If somebody orders a 60-pound entree, they have their own issues.
All right, I want to get into my health issues, but I also want to get Susan's poem in here at the beginning of the show where
Susan, why are you
anyway, so I'm going to take all you guys are going to go down. Susan's going to go up, and then we'll come back when Susan's done reading her poem of the week. Here she is, our poet laureate, Susan Salisbury. Did I do that right? I thought I hit the right button.
Hey, first I need to refute some stuff Mark said. Yes, we have fought naked. That is something that we used to do. Also, he did not contribute the Edmund Fitzgerald. I was thinking that. He said that he would participate with me. And so when I threw it to him, he just went, you're 11 minutes now. And he didn't do the bit that we'd done in the car.
Aha.
You liar, pants on fire, and you wussed out when I invited you to join the bit.
My Lord. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
I guess she told you.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
No, I hear you saying my only contribution was the Edmund Fitzgerald, and it wasn't. You were just such a liar.
At some point, Mark realized that Susan was never letting this go.
Hey, folks, I'd like to announce we've got like 5 people in the chat right now.
Woo!
And I don't know if that's including us or not, but that's...
Here's your poem.
That's great.
Here's your poem, and then I'll let Mark go on with his lies and do a show.
Oh, dear. Someone's sleeping in the guest room tonight.
Here we go. Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Ready.
Titanic claims more lives than its graveyard. Oh, gee. Submersible implosion. 5 lost in the sea. Wagner fighters had been advancing toward Moscow. These mercenaries turned around, at least for now. Donald Trump's aide will be arraigned on 6 counts. Walt Natta, your bad career move really amounts. Harvard professor falsified reports, it's been alleged. She studies dishonesty. This is over the edge. Zuckerberg and Musk are planning a fight. Are they still in junior high? This doesn't seem right. That's your
All
poll.
right. Man,
Nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
All right.
Very good.
And back to the half truth by Mark Sweetman. Have fun, you guys.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now she'll
Good
take
nobbing.
her notepad and listen in her bedroom for the rest of
And
the
there
night.
goes the frozen Susan.
I would just like to say that, when I have friends, and I consider Mark and Susan my friends, when I think about my friends doing anything in the nude, it really makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It just if Brad Pitt was nude, I just can't. I just go, don't do that.
Oh,
But
no, hold
you're
on.
not friends with him, so it's okay.
Yeah, say if it were Brad Pitt,
With Mark or with Brad Pitt?
with Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
I could be if I bothered him enough. It could be that Rupert Pupkin thing where I just.
Oh, I'm sure that would work out.
Hey, that's my technique.
That's Rupert. That's it. Rupert Pupkin. I was wondering what it is about hanging out at the comedy clubs now that's so different than it was 40 years ago. Fucking everybody is
not
Rupert
there.
Pupkin now. Back
No.
then we had one or two Rupert Pumpkins. Now it's fucking everybody.
But the thing about Rupert Pupkin was, I just saw the movie again today. I love that film, but I just saw it again today. And the thing about Pupkin is he never went to a comedy club. You
Right.
remember the
just worked in a
secretary, not the secretary, the assistant to Jerry comes up to him and says, "Now, we like, she did what they all do when they play you off." And the most classic thing about that movie is when she says to him, "Your timing, by the way, was excellent." That's when you're being blown off. Okay. Your timing is-
Right.
But when she says, "Listen, go to the clubs, and when you're at a club, give us a call," and they would go if you told them, but go to the clubs, and as soon as you start playing, we'll come see you. He had no intention of doing that. He thought he was beyond that.
Right. He didn't need all that.
No.
One of my favorite parts of that film, and I think it had a lot to do with Scorsese, was that Jerry Lewis played how everybody saw Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
That was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah.
The Jerry Langford was just dead on, man. That was great.
Jerry Lewis was doing a gig in, if I told you this, please stop me, but in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, like a theater in the Round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the limo got into a fender bender. Nothing
I've heard
serious.
this.
No one was hurt.
I've heard
And
this
there's
story.
a law in. Did I tell you this? I'm sorry.
No, tell us.
No,
tell
go
us.
on.
No.
So there's
I
a
don't
law-
think you probably told me. I don't think you told it on the show.
There's a
before.
law in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's still there, but at this time, that if you get into any kind of accident, even a dent, whoever's in the cars have to get out of the cars because there could be a gas leak, could be something. So everybody has to get out. It was 96 degrees. So everybody gets out of their air-conditioned cars. Jerry is sweating like a dog. Okay. And he's standing there in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and a guy is walking by and sees him and goes, as loud as you could talk, he goes, "Jerry Lewis, oh my God, it's, people in Philly heard him, okay? It's Jerry Lewis, oh shit, and he walks over to him, and Jerry Lewis, according to my ex-wife who saw this, said, Jerry Lewis was thinking about a way to kill himself and yet survive. He wanted to die. And so the guy comes over and says, "You are the greatest." He became Rupert Pupkin. "You are the greatest comic that has ever walked. Would you please sign this for me? Please." He goes, "Yeah." "No, would you?" He says, "I said I would." Okay. He signs it, gives it back to the guy. So everybody's fine. They get back in the limos and walk away. What did he sign? "Fuck you, Jerry Lewis."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to tell you that would be worth more money
Oh,
than
absolutely.
Best Wishes, Jerry Lewis.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But a guy like that would never.
I believe that piece of paper belongs in Jamestown.
I bet he did that more than once.
Oh, I
yeah.
think that's how he signed every autograph. The part about him that kills me is when he died, he left his 4 sons by his first wife, Patty. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Mhm.
He left everything to the last trollop that he was with.
Right.
Some lady.
And yeah.
Well, you know, he was on the Arsenio Hall show when his last son, the 5th child, was born, and he said to her, he said, "Yeah, we just had a baby," and he kind of intimated incorrectly that this child was his by insemination. It was his. That is his seed.
I don't know. Did the kid look like?
Huh?
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
And he goes, and Arsenio goes, "Are you trying to tell me?" And Jerry goes, and I thought, there is no way. There is just no way on God's green earth it's his kid. I'm not saying it's like the milkman, but no, this child was either adopted or was artificial insemination, or his last wife got lucky. It's one of those.
Does it look like the former governor of California? Can the kid lift weights?
It does. It does, however, look like Mia Farrow's gay son, which means that Sinatra is the father of the child.
A friend of mine got into an elevator with Jerry Lewis once.
Say again?
Really?
A friend of mine got into an elevator with Jerry Lewis once. I think it was in Vegas. And he said, "Mr. Lewis, I'm so sorry to bother you. You probably get this all the time. I just want you to know that I'm a comedian. And I was just wondering." And Jerry Lewis turned to him and said, "Fuck off."
Wouldn't it be great if the guy said, "Hold on for a second," picked up a cell phone and goes, "You owe me $100. I told you he would do it."
Do you wonder what sort of corner of hell he and Bing Crosby are sitting in? Are they like having child abuse stories as they sit there and drink flaming lava?
I think Crosby's worse.
Well, how many of his kids committed suicide? I mean, at least 2.
Did you see Jerry's last interview on camera?
Yes.
Well, the last thing I saw him on was comedians in cars getting coffee.
No, he did a sit down with some guy from like A&E or whatever it is.
Who didn't know who he was.
It is rich. It is. He was,
in what way?
Jerry was so contemptuous of this guy. I have no idea how either one of them sat through this, but it is well worth seeing.
Is it available?
A lot of one-word responses and a lot of denying the questions. And you see the guy was trying to hold it together and he just couldn't.
My question, and this isn't to you, Ed, but Ned, excuse me. My question is, if that's how you feel, not you, him, why are you doing it?
I agree. Yeah. Why did he even agree to it? It's strange.
You don't need the money.
He was a grandiose narcissist.
Say again.
He was a grandiose narcissist, and his ex-wife said, he would go to the opening of the refrigerator. He was just
at that point in his life. I guess he wanted some kind of attention, but
he had been out of the limelight for a while. The man is responsible for The Day the Clown Cried. Okay, which by the way is one of my favorite movies. But
should have been a musical. It was The Day the Laughter Died.
No,
is that what
Clown Cried?
The Day the Clown. It's only available.
The Day the Clown Cried.
Because the clown read the script
in a Nazi death camp.
In a Nazi death camp. Jerry's higher than fuck on Percocets.
Singing to kids as they go into the
gas chamber.
I want you guys to know I'm pitching an animated version of that. Just I think it's going to be adorable. The clown's going to be gay. It's going to be.
If you're doing voice auditions, I want to be the Nazi.
Okay, well, that seems to have been I don't want to say typecast, Sam, but you've done that more than once.
Let me tell you something. They said I was too strict for Hogan's Heroes. Okay.
Nothing about that.
Hotsy totsy, I'm still a Nazi. That's right.
Good Lord.
God.
And we still have 5 people in the chat after all that. Isn't that? I think that's impressive in its own little way.
Maybe they're
not.
Nazis.
They could speak English. How great this would be for them. It would be a dream come
Ain't
true.
that the way?
It's probably Putin just trying to find anybody to talk to. Hi.
Oh, don't flatter yourself. Vlad's had a tough weekend. Be nice to him. When your own mercenary army turns on you,
If you thought you were bombing,
Exactly. I mean, you thought your set
Exactly.
wasn't going well at the show up and go up, and yet, the people you funneled billions of dollars to in funding in the illegal weapons has had enough of your shit. It's just,
I love it.
They've had that's hysterical. They've had enough of your shit.
It's
They
just had enough.
This was the last straw.
One of my favorite lines has always been, whenever you see a beautiful woman, remember that somewhere there's a guy who has just about had it with her bullshit.
Had it
Oh,
with
yeah.
Man,
Listen,
is
hon.
that-
You're
used to do
terrific and everything.
I used to do a joke where it wasn't that, but it was if it worked, the laughing was huge, and if it didn't work, it was crickets. There was no in between, and this was the joke.
I don't like my act now.
Wow. At least you know it, though. Think about that. I wouldn't accept defeat. So I'm in the village. And I see this guy who is a really good-looking guy, walking with a really good-looking woman. And I'm looking at them, and I say to myself, you see, guys like that get girls like that. You see, every time. Every girl I get winds up saying, how do I smell?
Oh,
So
well,
true.
mine are just, you sort of like coming to after I asked them to smell the ether soaked rag, and here, honey, does this smell funny to you? And so, yeah.
Jason, I've told you 1,000 times, not ether, chloroform.
I gotta switch that up.
Cheaper
There's
to
no
buy.
doubt. Exactly.
Doesn't burn your hands.
I like Pat Oswalt.
And
He said
it doesn't give you that just kidnap smell that people.
That's what you're saying.
It's icky.
It's
Well,
not
Pat
like
Oswalt.
wind
How to
sound,
talk
but
to
it's-
Pat
the folks
Oswalt.
that
How to
I'm
talk
sorry.
to kids from a car. Hey kids, does this smell like chloroform? You okay?
Well, I don't like the label from the folks that gave you the Lindbergh baby.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. Hauptmann Productions. Yeah, there you go. It's from
Yeah, Lindbergh. No, Nazis are okay.
yeah, they're not so bad, really. He got the trains to run on time.
I thought that was Mussolini.
Yeah,
that was Mussolini.
Yeah, I know, but people say it about Adolf anyways.
You know,
And
the
he
thing that
wasn't-
was amazing about Mussolini was that, I don't know if it was amazing, but he eliminated, for the time he was in power, he eliminated the mafia.
Well, how could they compete with him? Yeah.
Well, no, the way he did it was, if your uncle's brother's shoeshine boy could spell mafia, he threw you in jail.
Mm-hmm.
He got rid of every scintilla of evidence about anything with the mafia. But my other favorite thing about, and I love this, Mussolini was.
I love that you have a list of favorite Mussolini.
All I can think of is the man had a really swinging retirement party. I know that.
Uh-oh.
Swinging.
He was
folks.
well hung.
I don't want to leave you hanging. I know.
Well, those people on that subboat, talk about a sinking feeling. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sam
Ouch.
Greenfield. He's going to be here all night, folks.
They all died on a yellow submarine.
It had to
Oh,
happen.
that's great.
It had
That
to
is
happen.
great.
It had to. Yeah, we got
And
titanium
our
end
friends
caps.
are all aboard.
I feel we've hit a deep hole here.
You know,
That
we
was
get out of it.
By the way, did you see you don't watch CBS Sunday Morning? They interviewed, obviously, from a year ago, the captain of that boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. He's bragging about how he bought stuff from Camper World and.
Oh, that was what got me. Everything
Yeah.
he bought was like either secondhand or used, and
Yeah.
and part of the thing he used was like, I know nothing about computer games, but
A
the
little
thing with it,
control-
like,
Yeah, it was a controller from an
Yeah.
Xbox or something,
yeah,
right?
I'm going. Are you shitting me? That's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get on that boat if you paid me a lot of money.
I'll
But
tell
that would
you,
be the first thing that would stop me. Are you kidding?
Well, I got to tell you, Sam, Xbox makes wonderful lures if you're looking to get someone into your car and you're near a middle school.
That's true.
Saying, well, Ned, you know about that. I mean,
Well,
you
that's
I
why
ever?
Jason changed his name to Van Johnson.
Yeah, there you go.
know,
Windowless Van Johnson.
Windowless
Listen,
fan.
Hey,
You know,
can
I
you
mean-
read?
You know what my takeaway was from that sub story? Billionaires can't catch a break in this country.
Yeah.
$250,000 for a boat ride. They're all gone.
hey, I'd
We're
go
down
down
to
for
our last 732 billion.
Where's the respect for losers?
I know. I know.
You know, and once again, I like to point out 5 people on that sub, none of them were Yoko Ono.
Damn.
Just saying.
More's the pity.
Exactly. Just saying.
For most
I
of-
mean,
But-
if only Paul's second wife, Pogo Ono, had been on it, Paul might feel a little better about
5
that.
subs died during Pride Month. How cruel is that?
you know,
I don't have the
McCartney's,
words.
McCartney's daughter, Stella,
Yikes.
who is a very well-known and very successful and really very good fashion designer.
She's a terrible fashion designer, but go
Is she
on.
Oh my
awful?
God.
She
Oh my God.
sucks.
Oh,
But
I'm so
she's
really.
She's successful, but her clothes are hideous. But go on, Sam.
I thought that was Ivanka.
No,
Well-
he is not Paul McCartney's daughter. No. You're
Oh,
thinking-
okay. Then this story has no validity whatsoever.
Oh, but Stella's very, very successful.
No, this is why it has no validity.
Tell us.
She offered to design his second wife's wedding gown. And the second wife goes, "No, I'm going with Vera Wang." Now that I know that, I know she wasn't an idiot. She probably took a look at what Stella put out for there and said, no.
The second wife was that one-legged bimbo, that gold digger.
Yeah.
Yes.
The mine expert person thing.
Yeah,
Although
evidently not that much of an expert.
Well, she
If
got her
I had
money.
a chance to marry Paul McCartney, though, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
He
And
walked away from Paul, so to speak, with
Yeah.
at least $100 million.
No wonder her beer had hops.
No, she about to say maybe the Vera Wang dress was something that would, cover the wheelchair or I don't know.
She didn't
obscure
use
the
a
walker.
wheelchair.
She didn't use a chair. She had a
Lowered
prosthetic
lowered
limb.
by trapeze. Flew
She
in
had a
on a
prosthetic
jetpack.
leg.
Oh.
No, that's right. She had a peg. She had a peg leg.
That's
I
why they
got
call
one
it-
of
Also,
those
her name,
too.
ironically.
Yeah.
I know.
So
That's
I've got a prosthetic leg myself. It's in the freezer in the basement. I've got to get that out. It still has the leg in it.
What was the name of that guy who murdered? What was it? He murdered all those kids and
Ned
ate
Rice.
them. Huh? Dahmer.
Ned Rice. Oh wait, never mind.
Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Dean
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Coryell. There's
You
a
know,
plethora.
one of the great
Children?
quotes of all time is when John Wayne Gacy was sentenced to death.
Yeah.
This is not it's funny, but he actually did this. He went, "I can't believe this," and I thought, "Oh, sure you can." Come on. What were you jaywalking and the cop had a hard on him? Come on. Of
Yeah.
course you can.
My only regret that he wasn't allowed to wear his clown outfit and then to be tied to an electric chair that has a rheostat so that we could, have a little fun, see how you like it, laugh,
Did
dance,
he get
clown,
Did he get
dance.
the chair? Is that what he got?
Sadly, no. It was an
He got the
Illinois. They
bouncy
used-
castle.
No.
Hey Sam, do you know Eddie Gordetsky?
The
Yes.
gas chamber in a
Eddie
in the bouncy
Gordetsky
castle.
has a John Wayne Gacy painting in his home.
Nice.
Does he really?
Yeah, Gacy sold them
Good.
from his prison cell for years
Yeah.
because he had quite a few.
I
And Eddie
can't
has one.
remember the joke, but Gordetsky once said there was a joke. It was the perfect joke, and I can't remember what it was.
Written by Eddie?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't.
not-
But he said it was the perfect joke.
I'd be curious about that. Eddie's had a nice little career.
Yeah, he's
done
one of
very
these
well.
people that no one outside of the business, and I mean no one, knows anything about, and he's done great.
Yep.
It's like that guy who Seinfeld is friends with, and I can't remember his name. Real heavyset guy. He was in Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And he talked about the fact that he's very big and fat, and his wife is big and fat, and if she gets on top of him during sex, he has to tap out.
the guy from Mike and Molly, Billy. What's his name?
No. I know who you mean. No.
I don't know.
Was
He's
this,
lost a
was this
lot
the
of weight.
blonde guy?
The
Huh?
what guy?
Was this the blonde guy that?
You mean Billy Gardell?
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's
the guy
what,
that
that's what I'm talking about.
Say
the
again?
guy that was in the seat on with Seinfeld. Wasn't it a blind guy with glasses you were talking about?
No.
Okay.
No. The segment I remember is they went to a store to do some shopping, and they bought cereal because Seinfeld loves cereal. If that helps you at all remember this at all.
I don't remember this.
I'll tell you what was great about that show. One time he had Larry David on, and when you've been friends with someone, as long as he was friends with Larry David, there are things you say to each other that has no humor to anyone but you two. Just you two. It could literally be something like, "Did you put cream in your coffee?" And you'll just die laughing.
Yeah.
And it has no meaning to anyone but you two guys.
The private code, yeah.
A private code, and you just break up. Seinfeld's an easy laugh, though. I was very surprised.
The one with Gary Shandling, which I just found, it really made me miss Gary Shandling. It's like,
deeper. So that guy was so deep.
He was.
Guy, that show, the Larry Sanders Show.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And who knew that Rip Torn had great comedic chops?
Oh God.
I mean, just
the one with what's his name? The guy who played the writer who they fired. God damn it.
Jeremy Piven.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
The scene where he gets fired and he goes to walk towards Rip Torn, Artie, to say something. And Artie holds up his hand and says, No, we're done. And he closes the black curtain.
Wow.
And Piven turns around and there's a layer of sweat on his forehead. And it was the scene was just brilliant.
Yeah, that show was really good.
That and just to see Shane again, they both go back to the the Comedy Store
Yep.
Yeah, and to see the two of them kind of back in this sort of comedic cathedral where they're both deities in.
The woman who played his secretary on that show, the African-American actress whose name I can never remember.
Yep.
Right.
They start talking about pussy, and she goes, "Pussy, pussy, pussy. That's all you guys ever talk about. I might as well work in a bank." And Gary goes, and Gary goes, "Yeah, get some of that drive-through pussy." Oh my God! Oh my God!
And Ned, who was writing on that show? You
Who
were
wrote?
Yeah, who was writing on that show? Because that again, very witty, very. I know Shandling started out as a writer.
Writers were. I actually don't recall.
Shandling
I don't know anyone who wrote on the show.
Gary,
one of my favorite things was that Artie, his ex-girlfriend was Angie Dickinson.
Right.
That was great.
I mean, another great Rip Torn comedic role was in Defending Your Life, one of my favorite Brooks movies.
Yeah.
Where again, he plays deadpan, absolutely pitch perfect. Yeah, and Al Brooks movies, you have the comedy.
You mean Mel
doesn't
Brooks?
always. Yeah.
Albert
No,
I'm sorry. I'm wrong.
Albert Brooks.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong.
I like the story where he says, "What are you eating there? What are you eating there? It's green stuff. You don't want to eat it. What are you eating there? No, let me try it. It's okay. Let me try it."
In the one with Julie,
you get a small brain.
The redneck punches Brooks in the face, and she goes, "You shouldn't get mad at him, honey. To hear him tell it, those people wanted to be shot." By the way, I just watched Mother.
Yeah. Oh, great movie! Debbie Reynolds, excellent movie.
Yes.
Oh,
I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but
good, very good.
I love my favorite scene is when they're arguing about the ice cream. They're arguing about the ice cream. She says it's got a protective layer. It's a protective layer on the ice cream.
The ice is a protective layer.
Yeah, it's like, this sounds awful. What are you doing? For crying out loud! Yeah.
You know what I thought was a very interesting scene in that when he's on the date.
Yeah.
What's her name from Friends? The blonde from Friends who did. The
Jennifer Aniston or
no.
Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
And she says, "What made you want to? Did you always want to be a writer?" And he says, "Yeah, I think I did." And she says, "Well, who do you like to read? What have you read?" And she goes, "Well, I read Dickens. He goes, oh, well, anything. She goes, well, does it matter, that it was that far back? And he goes, well, I guess you've got a point. I mean, she goes, it doesn't have to be anyone recent. It could be, someone like Charlie Chaplin. And he goes, Charlie Chaplin's not a writer. He's a comedian. No, he's not. Charlie Chaplin, right? Tale of Two Cities.
Oh.
And he looks at her and he does something that every guy I know has wanted to do and didn't, which is this. I'll tell you what, let's get the check.
Yeah.
And then it shows her walking on the beach in California going, help me. But I thought the most amazing thing about that movie was Brooks is obviously Jewish. Rob Morrow, who plays his brother, is obviously Jewish. Mm-hmm. And his mother is a Shiksa goddess, Debbie Reynolds.
Yes.
Okay.
But she was great in that movie.
Oh, my God. That was a great movie.
Yeah. Let me propose this. We have two scenes. We have Albert Brooks pitching in Lost in America, give the money back. Right. We all know that famous. Right. You're the casino versus
with Gary
Charles Grodin in Heartbreak Kid announcing to his bride that they are going to be getting a divorce because he's met somebody else, and why doesn't she go ahead and just eat her cheesecake? Both are amazing scenes, incredibly well played. Which one do you guys think comes off better? Because again, I think
I always go with Albert Brooks.
I'm going to go. I got to go with Grodin.
That's a hard.
I have to go with Grodin. Grodin was the one that sort of like took me a little bit because I'm so shocked by it, and then I'm going, this is amazing.
The amazing thing about that movie, and by the way, whoever decided to make a replay of that should have been arrested.
Yeah.
Oh, there should have been. Eddie Albert should have come back from beyond the grave.
But the scene, you just took the words out of my mouth. The scene between Eddie Albert and Charles Grodin. And Charles, well, he offers him, was it 25,000?
Oh yeah, he kept bidding him up, right?
But let's say it was 25,000. Yeah. And he won't take it. And and Grodin goes, no. And Eddie Albert goes, have you ever touched 25,000? Do you know what it feels like? And then at the end of the movie, he marries Sybil Shepherd, who was stunning in that movie.
Right.
And you see this look on his face, and I can't speak for anybody here, but to me, it was like he was saying, I'm saying, in 3 weeks he'll be disenchanted with her.
Exactly. He'll be moving on to somebody else.
Yeah, he's involved in the conquest. He's one of those guys that always has to have a conquest.
I did meet Grodin at an NBC thing when I was working at CNBC.
This is where Sam knows somebody.
He was such a nice guy.
There's my ride.
Yep. That's my agent. He was such a nice guy.
That's my agent's ride.
Oh wow, that's my agent's doctor. And so, he says to me, that I'll never forget this. He goes, Jerry Orbach. That's Jerry Orbach. And I go, yeah. He goes, there's a lot of famous people here. I said, you're famous, right? He goes, not like Jerry Orbach. I go, you really don't think so? He says, Jerry Orbach did Promises, and he starts listing Jerry Orbach's credits. Jerry Orbach did Promises. He did Law and Order. He did,
the original cast of Fantastics.
I said, something, you're right. You haven't done shit.
That's what killed him, Sam. Thanks.
Yes.
Well, he's a hero.
Here's the other thing. Richard Belzer was at this thing because he was in Homicide, which was on NBC.
Right.
Roger Ailes comes up Sam's having a moment. The guy who was
what was he in?
He was on Saturday Night Live.
Charles Rocket.
No. Not that
Rocket.
More violent.
Belushi.
Jim Belushi?
No. The guy. It was
Charlie.
Al Franken.
Al Franken.
The former senator.
So Roger Ailes comes up to Al Franken and puts his arm around him in a very friendly manner. And Richard Belzer, who I knew from stand-up, stands next to me, taps me on the shoulder and says, "Do you see what you're looking at? A devil has claimed a Jew." He said, "Sam, if you smell sulfur, get the fuck out of here." And I said, "Well, wouldn't you smell the sulfur?" He goes, "Yes, but I am going to hell. So, Sam," and he gives me this wink. Belzer, Belzer had this reputation among some people, which I never understood, for not being a nice guy. He was very nice to me. He was always nice. I never had a bad second with him. All right, one time he stabbed me, but
Yeah.
Well,
I asked him if I could have some of his cheesecake, and he really got pissed.
John Regi.
When he married his wife, the one he was married to forever, and he said, "I married this beautiful woman who was a model. She has 2 fantastic daughters who adore me. I didn't know Jews could be this happy."
And he lived in France.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was something I thought was funny. In the early 90s, when there was a big money crisis in the United States, I actually heard someone at a restaurant going, "I'm going to tell you how bad things are. Belzer's thinking about selling his estate in France."
Wow.
Ooh.
And I went, "If you have an estate in France and you're selling it, life is still not that bad for you." Okay, I'm just saying, life.
He's down to his last chateau.
But I'll tell you, yeah, that's right. And his brother Len committed suicide. I remember that. And Belzer's father committed suicide.
Yeah. That runs in the family there.
And Richard Belzer grew up with an abusive mother.
Yes, terrible.
And he said, I learned how to make my mom laugh because then she wouldn't hit me.
Is this Belzer or Spalding Gray? I mean,
no, Belzer.
I know. I'd say Spalding Gray grew up with a similar sort of.
Oh, something.
Hey, he also committed suicide. I mean, I only saw him once live. He was amazing.
Boo fucking who? Buy a hurdle and get over it. All right. Jesus Christ! Pick up bag and get
I saw Spalding Gray.
I saw him brown. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I saw no. This is interesting. I was in New York. This would have been back when I was auditioning for Letterman, but I saw him on Broadway in our town. And I said, it was the only thing.
The narrator?
He was the narrator, and he was great. I mean, that was like the role. It was the role made for him.
It didn't surprise me. He was great.
The stage manager. Yeah.
He was the stage manager. Yeah. But it was Eric Stoltz was in it, and
he did as part of his monologue. He was talking about getting that role, and he's talking it over with his agent, and he's telling his agent that, look, he thinks he has a shot to do the stage manager in our town, and his agent goes, "Spalding, it's a step backwards. You should be the talent. You're on stage. You're not there to be the stage manager." And that's when he knew that he had the wrong.
Whoever talked Spalding Gray into doing that, it was perfect. I hated it.
That's the point.
The point is the agent.
Did he actually think he was talking about being a tech?
Yes, that's when he knew. That's when he knew that his agent was just completely fucking out of it.
Really
Which leads me to this story.
Yes.
For reasons I can't explain, and I want to apologize to everyone else here, I was watching The View.
You don't have to. No.
I have to go. I'm sorry, folks. There's only so much I can put up with.
Sam, you already told me you watch Fox News, so watching The View is not that,
I watch Fox News for 5 minutes because I win money on it. I have a friend, and I say, if when I turn it on, they're talking about Hunter Biden, you owe me $1. Okay. I'm up to $83,000. Okay. So I read about what I'm about to tell you on CNN, which was Dermot Mulroney was one of the guests, and he walked off. So I'm watching it to see what pissed him off. But it wasn't something that pissed him off. He did the interview, and he said, "And now if you'll excuse me, but to show my support for the Writers Guild strike, I am now going to walk off." And he left.
Interesting.
Good for him.
But here's Joy Behar, who has been in show business for 60 years. And this is what she did, and a co-host also did. You'll hear it. She goes, "Our first guest, we're going to have him on in just a couple of minutes, is Dermot Mulroney."
Oh,
And
oh,
you don't know how
oh.
to pronounce his name,
oh,
Dermot
oh.
Really? And
Yeah,
then
she's worthless.
And then one of the other idiots on the show says, "Well, you know, he's about to do a recreation of August Osage County."
Wow.
And I went, and so Barbara tried to excuse it because they're women, and she said, "Well, you know, they don't have writers." I said, "Writers? It's right, Osage. It was a word before the play was written.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the fuck are you talking? It was a play before that. It was a word before that.
Yep.
You know, it's not like it's like saying Hamilton. No, Hamilton. It's inexcusable.
Speaking of writers, you guys were asking about Larry Sanders. One of my buddies was a writer on that show, John Rigi. I don't know if any of you guys.
I know Rigi, and also Mike Martineau.
Yeah,
I remember when John Rigi did stand up. He was amazing, and he's written for a million shows.
Nicest guy in the world.
Very nice guy. Yeah.
But
my favorite joke from Rigi was I looked at my girlfriend, and the compliment, she was a vegan. It says, you know, the compliment I gave her is nice skull. I appreciate that.
You know? my first laptop ever I bought off of Jack Thomas. Do you guys remember Jack?
Yes.
Anyway, Jack was roommates with John back then, and I went in there, and they had the place they had was in Los Feliz, and it was they had a writer's room that was very airy, and they both had setups there. And we're talking about, you know, they had Packard Bells. That's how long ago this was.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, and he was selling me his Tandy 100 laptop.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a big move for me. That was the one that had 2 floppy disk drives. You know, so you could,
What?
Holy
yeah,
God.
oh yeah. 2 floppy. One for the program that you would put into one floppy, and then the other one so you could record data on it.
Yeah.
Honey, we're rich.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Rigi was in, and I knew Rigi from the Midwest. I mean, he started in Cincinnati.
Same here.
I started in Detroit, and we all did the same Sobel gigs and everything.
I worked with him in Louisville. Yeah.
But I saw him, and he was right. I knew he was a writer then because he just never looked up. He just kind of turned, went, "Hi, Mark," and then just went right back to his writing. Whatever he was working on, nothing could break his concentration.
Did you know Mike Martineau?
Mike Martineau. That name sounds familiar. How would I know him, Sam?
He was a comic, and he wrote for Sanders.
Oh, okay. No, I never met him.
Or for Gary Shan. So the story about Mike Martineau, who has passed away since, is that he had horrendous BO.
Oh, God.
Horrendous nose shrinking BO.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so a guy calls his house and says, "Hi," his wife answers, and he says, "Hi, is Mike there?" And she goes, "No, Mike's in the shower." And he goes, "Is this 258?"
I thought you were going to say
Buddy Rich is dead.
I thought you were going to say the guy said, "Is Mike there?" And she went, "Hold on." No, he's not here.
No, he's not here because the dog is
Funnier.
conscious.
The shower's funnier.
The dog has
Oh,
regained
God.
consciousness, so Mike's not here.
Oh dear. So was Shamling difficult to write for? We've all heard stories of the various people who were just monsters to be around, fire you at the drop of a hat. Gary Shanley, starting out as a writer, he wrote for Sanford and Son before he was, doing stand up. So I can see where he'd be demanding.
Did Chuck Martin also write for the Larry Sanders Show?
I wouldn't be surprised. He might very well have. He
went on from there to go. I think he went on from there to Arrested Development. I think that was.
That ain't bad.
Well, I worked with Chuck Martin at the Tonight Show.
Oh, well, there you go.
No. At the Tonight Show, but mostly at Bill Maher. He worked at Bill Maher for a couple of years.
The biggest prick move I ever saw any comedian do to a writer was Dennis Miller.
Yeah.
Dennis Miller, when he did the show on HBO, he did a joke and it was a shaggy dog. It took, those jokes should be like 7.5 seconds. This joke was like 80 seconds. So he finishes the joke. It doesn't get a laugh. And Dennis Miller says this. And by the way, I never normally do this, but I actually remember this word for word. The joke doesn't get a laugh. And he goes, folks, I got this writer. He hasn't written shit for me in 3 weeks. I finally throw this fucker a bone, and this is what he gives me.
Wow.
Ooh. But then I hear Rob Schneider say that, Rob Schneider and David Spade both were on SNL as a result of Dennis Miller, and that Dennis, championed their time there, and he said, I owe the beginnings of my career to him. So
Dennis Miller has a thing. I don't mean he's hitting on him, but he has a thing for young comics.
Who doesn't? I mean, I gotcha.
They all work together. They all work together in San Francisco.
What's that now?
They all worked with Dennis. Dennis worked with those guys in San Francisco, so they were like buddies from the clubs.
And not only that, but Schneider allowed Dennis to inject him with bleach to keep him COVID free.
Oh shit! Do you guys remember when we had Barry Crimmins at the Unclub?
COVID jokes. Yes.
Wow.
And one of the best things you ever did was getting that guy there for that one.
Oh,
night.
Getting him there, yeah,
it was amazing.
Ned and Sam, just to let you know, just before Barry got ill, actually, he was pretty healthy when he came, but it wasn't long.
It was great.
It was very shortly after that he got ill and passed away.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he was at the Unclub, and we're doing, and I was his warm up, and so. He says, "Don't bring me up. Do your act. Get your applause." And then I come backstage, and he says, "Have these people all seen you before?" I go, "It's mostly comics." He goes, "Oh, okay." That's how he based my reaction from the audience. So he said, so I said, "Yeah, they'd all love to talk to you." He goes, "Let's do a question and answer after the show." So he does
yeah.
So he does an hour. We do a question and answer. And remember that one question was hot because he worked for the Dennis Miller Show. He wrote for the Dennis Miller Show, and he goes, and somebody asked, "How did Dennis Miller become such a dick?" He was pretty nice to Dennis, considering they were at this point completely polar opposites politically.
Well, Dennis and I worked together in Tennessee, and I drove, and I found out something. From Washington, D.C. to Tennessee was 2 states, Virginia and Tennessee.
Okay.
Because Tennessee is so wide that it is closer from the western tip of Tennessee to the eastern tip of Tennessee than from the eastern tip of Tennessee to D.C.
Yeah.
And so... And so we drove. So I had a car, and we drove around for like 3 hours, and it was great. This is before he became the Dennis Miller we all know and revile. But but the thing I thought was ironic was he said to me, I know you don't want to hear advice from me. I said, "Not really. I don't. No, I don't." It's really. I went, "Yeah, we're just driving around. I didn't, oh, great one, please impart your knowledge to me." No, it's okay. And he goes, "Well, if I could give you," I said, "I just said I don't want advice." And he goes, "Well, you don't have to be a dick about it." I said, "Well, why are you offering me advice that was unsolicited?" And then I thought, stop. I said, "Stop." So I said, "What is it you want to tell me?" "It's okay. I'm sorry. I'm in a bad mood because I'm driving around with an asshole. So if you could tell me," and he goes, "Never, get this, never curse on stage." Dennis Miller said that.
Dennis Miller said that.
And his show on HBO was like a fuckathon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The guy who said "fuck" every other sentence, but
he said you don't need to.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Dennis was not a filthy comic.
No,
I didn't say
Dennis
Miller's filthy. Not filthy.
Dennis Miller's HBO specials were outstanding. He was a very good comedian.
Not filthy.
Very good.
No, Ned, not filthy. But he said "fuck" a lot. And he kept imparting. No, I'm not saying he was a dirty comic. He was not. He was miles from that.
Yeah, his black and white, his HBO black and white special was amazing.
They were great.
Yeah, but the fact that he said, try so hard not to say "fuck," and on his show, he said fuck no, he wasn't dirty.
No, on the
And,
show,
and his specials were brilliant.
Yeah, the show is different. You're right about that. My Dennis Miller story was he was on the Tonight Show when I was a writer there, and Todd Yasui was the booker, and Todd went on to produce a lot of different shows, and Todd said, "Okay, here's how it works." At about 5:15, and Dennis said, "Spare me the minutiae."
The minutiae?
He was trying to impress. That was his word for the day, but he didn't know how to pronounce the word minutia. And Todd just went, "Okay, we're done."
That's funny.
Minutiae, huh?
When you try to be pretentious, make sure you look up the word first.
Yeah.
For pronunciation. Yeah.
Wow, spare me the minutiae. I thought minutiae was Annette Funicello's husband. For all you kids out there, she was a Mouseketeer.
Yeah. Well, I got to talk to Dennis a couple of times when he had his radio program. I'm at the lowest rung on the entertainment ladder, the frequent call-in guest on a radio show.
You know these people.
When
Norm Macdonald called in, that show was very funny.
Oh yeah.
Really,
who did you say?
Norm Macdonald.
Oh God. Oh,
he and Dennis were very funny together.
Yes.
Very
good.
Another nice guy.
I managed to break Dennis up a couple times, and that's when I said, this comedy thing that I've wanted to do all my life, maybe I should give it some attention. And that was right when Andy was telling me about, you need to go up and you need to do the open mic. And I'm like, I don't know. But as I say, I'd managed to get on Dennis's show 3 times, and I always got him laughing. And so
That's
it was like, okay.
I can't believe they fired McDonald over his O.J. Simpson jokes. What a
the thing is, the vice
wasn't there a guy at NBC that knew O.J. and was friends with O.J.?
Was a friend with O.J.
What's his name?
Don Ohlmeyer.
Yeah. He was the head. He was the head of late night programming, so he could fire anybody he wanted.
And he told him, "You do another bit on O.J."
And Ohlmeyer was the old sports guy, right? So that's why I knew O.J.
So he and O.J. were good buds. Yeah. He told Norm to stop, and Norm didn't stop, and he said, "You're fired."
God bless him. God bless him. When somebody tells you to stop, keep doing it, damn it. Crying out loud. Well, Dennis Miller's the guy that pushed me to L.A. because
they replaced him with.
I worked with him in San Antonio.
Yeah.
For Bruno and Jimmy. Okay. You know those from Pittsburgh? You know those guys?
No.
Sounds like a tag team.
Yeah.
Jimmy Miller was Dennis's brother.
Yeah, Jimmy.
I know Jimmy.
Jimmy Miller, the agent.
And I know Jimmy better than I know Dennis. Jimmy basically walked me around L.A. when I got out there in '87.
Who was Bruno? The muscle?
Yeah, Bruno.
It sounds like a morning zoo team.
Anyway, so I worked with him in San Antonio, and then a year later, I'm in Detroit with him, and he says, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "I live here." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Call Jimmy." He goes, "Jimmy, because Jimmy was in with the Comedy and Magic Club out in Hermosa Beach.
Yeah. He managed it for a while.
Yeah, he did, but until he hooked up with Jim Carrey.
Is that his younger brother or his older brother?
It's his younger brother. Dennis, Jimmy, and Richard. Richard was the guy that managed. Richard Miller was the guy that managed the Comedy and Magic Club. I think Jimmy just booked it. Richard actually was a manager there for about 7 or 8 years. But anyway, I was in Detroit opening for him. He goes, "No, you should." He said, "You should get to L.A." So he gave me. I never had Jimmy's number before, except when I worked for him in Pittsburgh and San Antonio, and he had another city with a room, and so he says, "Get out to L.A. You've done everything you can do in Detroit." So
that's awesome.
He was kind of the push. And then when I got there, here's the other thing. I tell people at the dojo and my workshops and everything is, take advantage of your spot as the opener or in the middle. Because I realized the reason I stayed in Detroit for 8 years was when I got to the Improv the first night. Holy shit! It's like everybody I'd worked with. There's Carrie Snow.
Yep.
There's what's his name from Boston?
Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary. I mean, there's just a whole shitload of people I'd worked with, right? And it was kind of like I walk in, they're like, "Hey, Mark Sweetman!" Mark Leno and Bud Friedman turn around. I'm like, and that would have never happened if I was like, going out there trying to headline like everybody else says I should be headlining. You know what I mean? I took my 8 years as the opener and middle, and that helped me once I got out there because everybody knew me.
Well, if you walk into a room and everyone knows you in that milieu, your standing goes up. People go, "Oh, he must be somebody."
Exactly. Before they saw my Mark Leno said, Mark Leno said, "Come by Sunday, we'll put you up." And this is like after I had said to everybody, I am not going to do the fucking Monday night lineup. I'm not going to put my name in a hat and take a chance that I'm going to get 12 of 60 people drawn. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait until somebody introduces it, and that's what happened.
Yep. Oh, and Ned, it's not milieu, it's Malayu.
Oh, thank you.
I'm here to help.
That's so great. Thank you. That was superlative of you.
Minute. That's hysterical. Oh my God.
Well, my dad went to that audition too that I went to for.
How did he do?
Mark. Oh, my dad. My dad did great. I tell a great story about how. Here I'm trying to impress my dad. I invited him to the Improv and the Comedy Store down in San Diego and La Jolla when I worked down there because he lived down in San Diego. But he drove up with me because it's the Improv. I'm going to audition for the Improv, blah, blah, blah. And so I did a line that he wanted me to do. We pass on Santa Monica Boulevard. We pass this erotic bakery where they basically bake dicks and buns and tits and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my!
That's not what you do with dicks and buns.
And I said, and the sign above it says under new management. And so my dad says, I guess the dough wasn't rising. And so,
nice.
I said, here's my dad. I go, we just came by here. Did you see that restaurant on Santa Monica Boulevard? It's erotic bakery under new management. He said, I guess the dough wasn't rising. The place erupted. My dad's like, he's like in tears practically because I told his joke and it howled. And, of course, Mark Leno comes to me. He says, that was great. I'm glad you included your dad. That really made, because most of the audience here is from out of town and they love that kind of shit. And I go, well, that's what actually happened. We actually went drive by that restaurant tonight. That's what it says.
He just
added the rising dough line.
When I do my TikTok, I send among the people I send it to is Lunau, and one time every once in a while he'll send me back a thumbs up or it's fine if he does. It's fine if he doesn't. Right. But one time he actually texted me and he went, how did we reach a point in this country where these people pass laws we have to obey?
Oh, tell me about it. Couldn't agree more.
But if he never said anything to me, but he continued to, listen to them, that's, it's fine. I met him. I like him. He's a nice guy. But for him to do that, it meant something to me because I respect him.
Mark, do you remember Dana Gould or is
sure do?
Oh yeah, sure.
Great podcast.
Every time we worked together, we would introduce each other as has-beens that never were.
I don't want to be a toughie, but it's we've passed an hour.
Oh dear.
Oh, I wasn't even looking. I'm sorry. All right, well, we can. You know what? Let's close it now.
Continue. I just wanted to keep you.
Close it with Dana Gould.
Story next week.
Yeah. We'll save the story for next week. We'll go on.
Dana,
okay, what is
we can do post show and we can continue again. Let's try to discipline ourselves. Hey, I got another idea. As far as discipline goes, let's get here 15 minutes early so we can test our mics and our cameras and all that stuff so we know what we're going on the air thing. All right, good.
Is that me? Okay, all right. Anyway.
Ned, you were talking about Dana?
Oh, yes. I'll save it for next time.
Yeah,
I just want to tell you this real quick because it won't last till next time.
I still don't get to tell my story, but you get another one.
It's amazing. But Dana was at a screening of a movie that he co-wrote.
Okay.
And I'm with my wife, and she says, "Don't you know him?" And I said, "I do, but it's been like 25 years, and I don't want to walk up to him and he doesn't remember me. And, I can't do that. She goes, oh, he'll remember you. I go, what do you mean? People don't forget you. And I go, oh, but you don't know that. She says, walk up and say hi. So I said, all right. But if he looks at me and goes, and you are, I'm marrying someone else immediately. So I walk up to him and I go, Dana, and he goes, Sam, and he gives me this big hug. And my wife's looking at me and goes, I told you, but you never listened to me. I go, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And she didn't talk to me. She didn't talk to me for the rest of the night.
Wow.
Which I consider that a win-win, by the way.
Yes.
You said to her, and you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
There you go. That's why that's my Ned's the writer he is right there.
Oh boy.
Ned's got it all together.
David
And the only reason
used to
Sam
use
got to tell that
line.
story is I can't find the stop button here.
And by the way, I knew he couldn't find the
Thanks,
button,
attack.
and that's why I seized on that moment. And my apologies to Ned, but I knew he couldn't find the fucking thing, so I went for it.
This is killing me. It says end broadcast. I push the button. Nothing happens. I don't understand.
Okay, now I'm
this.
going to tell my story.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, tell us story.
Please.
I used to live over an erotic bakery, and I was so poor that for a year I lived off day-old chocolate cocks. That's how he would start his set. And it was always funny. Day-old.
It's hysterical.
Day-old chocolate.
Day-old.
God. Oh my God.
Day old chocolate cock.
Oh,
Yes.
See,
Jesus
Sam?
Christ. Oh, you ought to see the crullers. Oh, God. Oh,
All right.
man.
I found the end broadcast button. We're getting out of here. See everybody next